Welcome back to RedDeckWinning.com. We're on game 2 here of Aggro vs. Borzhov Midrange. I'm just sideboarding right now. I'm still not sure on the sideboard for this deck. I know I wanted to bring in Hardest by Force, and I brought, you see I'm trying to put Skylasher in here and possibly other Scavenging Ooze. The burn is not really important here. They don't play a lot of creatures in this particular Borzhov build. It's really like Demon and Whip and some bigger stuff. They might have Grey Merchant, I'm not sure. But it's mostly burn, Anger of the Gods, removal, Dreadbore, that sort of stuff. Kind of the same stuff you saw in the first game. I mean, that's pretty typical of what they play. So, you could say Fire Drinker's a liability here because of the Anger of the Gods and the burn spells, but you need to pump damage in. You need to have that early rush. They have a lot of tap lands you need to take advantage of. I pulled the Pyrewild, I think, here because he's alright, but when you're playing against a removal-heavy deck, they're just going to be able to respond to it more than you're going to be able to respond to them, most likely. And, I just felt like I wanted more direct damage in Skullcrack, and I was trying to figure out how to fit the last Skullcrack in. I can't remember if I did or not here. It looks like I left it out, but in the future I'll probably just swap that in for a Lightning Strike, since most of these decks just don't run anything killable. I think my line of play was that I wanted Lightning Strike for when he had Demon, and I had another creature that could kill it in conjunction with that. That play's not great, but it does happen sometimes, and it's relevant. So, kept a reasonable hand here, pretty quick aggro approach here. I assume the Temple Garden is pretty straightforward as far as why I'm playing it. It's basically how Old Gruul did, where you just want another green source for your green cards, but you want to still be able to cast Reckoner on time, so that's why that 1-of Temple Garden's in there. And it might become a 2-of, but I think it's right at 1. So I was hoping to draw Gore Clan actually here to get the gas going in his hand a little bit, and fell together nicely. Obviously, he's got a second tap land. This is good for us. Another reason why Fire Drinker's so good on turn 1. We're not going to use his pump ability, but just in case we had to. And again, you just got to be conscious of Anger of the Gods here. He might have it, but if he doesn't, you're putting pretty good pressure on him. So I did forget that he has access to Reckoner. That's one thing that Lightning Strike actually is pretty good against, and you're just gonna have to eat a creature, unfortunately. If you try to do anything here, if you let the Reckoner sit on the board, yeah, you can Fire Fist around him, but when he's got a lot of removal in his deck and the Reckoner kind of shapes how you can attack, I think you have to just deal with him right away in the majority of situations. So I tanked a little bit on it here, but then I, came to the conclusion I usually do, which is where we got to kill him. See, I thought he was going to hit Fire Drinker here. I realized Fire Fist is a problem for his deck, but he could have just got 3 damage in, which, even though I'm playing an aggro deck, it's still relevant. Okay, so keep the beats going. Hope he doesn't have an Anger. Even if he does, you can hardcast Gore Clan the next turn, and Chandra's pretty rough. This part of the game made me sit and tank for quite a while because I didn't know whether I wanted to kill the Chandra or not. This is one of those big debates because he's got 4 cards in his hand and he's at 12 life. If I swing at him and Gore Clan, he's at 6 life, but it's likely that he has some more removal in his hand or a demon or somebody big, and I just fall completely behind in the race. If I kill Chandra here, I can still play either way I can play Fire Fist Striker, but I can still apply damage because I'll have 2 creatures going, and I just think it's the safer play, because then if I draw into another creature, I can Fire Fist up, and, I don't have to deal with Chandra. I can't even play Fire Fist if I don't kill Chandra, so this is the line I went with. I'm really amazed at how much of an impact Mana Confluence has had on this format. I've seen it in almost every deck I've played against online, and of course I'm playing it too. Now he left Obzedat in and didn't blink it, which is pretty good for us. I mean, he can obviously choose to do it at any point in time, but Having a Fire Fist on the board is always nice for that. Especially now that we drew Skylasher, so we could flash in EOT and then have the ability to Fire Fist when he didn't think we would. So I was hoping he would play a Whip again. He does not play a Whip. He plays Mogus, which was certainly surprising, but it's not the end of the world. And, yeah, Mogus I haven't seen in a successful deck. I played Black-Red for a little while in town here and tried to get a Mogus deck working, and I just really couldn't find something where I felt like it was the right shell for him. In this game in particular, as the game proceeds, I think Mogus is actually pretty sweet for him. But, I don't know. Maybe that's the right shell, maybe not. It is kind of just a nice control card to just poke damage through, especially against control, too. So he plays Reckoner here, and I don't even realize until he goes to attack here that Mogus is active, which, you know, it's just terrible for me. But then I remember that I can Destructive Revelry his Mogus, and even though it won't die, he's going to take 2, go to 5, and then I'll have lethal with the Battalion. I figure he has a removal here, but even if he does, so I can block here, obviously I'm going to block Mogus, and then even if he has removal for Fire Fist, and he blocks one of my creatures, he'll take 2, he'll go down to 3, because he'll be taking 2 from the Revelry. And then, basically, you know, any burn spell or any other combination of stuff kills him. I mean, I still have to top deck well here, or I'm just straight dead, but we'll see what happens. It's funny how Cockatrice is so player dependent. I mean, the controls are reasonable, especially once you get used to the shortcuts, but you really just have to kind of play a fair game with each other and hope the other person's not a dick. So now he's starting to see the writing on the wall, hoping I don't draw well. And of course I draw the Skull Crack. So I backed up a little bit because I went too fast to combat here, but basically same result. He's dead. And that, folks, is game 2.